I'm here with Tracy Gary, and we want to address some of the really key issues that are on the minds of wealthy families as they plan their money. Most of us have been trained, Tracy, to move, in the advisory business anyway, to train the maximum amount of money to the kids during our lifetime, or the lifetime of the parents, and at death. That's really what counts as winning. I think increasingly, though, parents are balking at that. They're saying, well, maybe enough is enough. Have you been finding that parents are concerned about giving too much to kids?
Absolutely. I think people are concerned that their kids aren't going to have enough, and or their tax planners are very good about saying, we need to move this money now. But in fact, this is not just a series of tax transactions. This is really moving a family and the culture of the family to a sense of responsibility. And what we do find is that there's enormous dysfunction, that sometimes we've got multiple intergenerational trusts, that the young adult kids don't have enough information about what they're going to have in the future, and that parents are sometimes hiding a trust, or telling their financial advisors and financial institutions, don't send them those, even when they're 25 and of age, don't send them those reports, because I don't want to undermine their incentive. And I think that kind of dysfunction sometimes in a family it's a complicated set of choices.
Right.
And we do need to incentivize the kids to actually care about what's happening for them.
In working with clients and advisors, we typically say, if you look at all your net worth, take everything you own, put it on the table. At your death, it can only go to three places. It can go to taxes, which nobody really seems to want. It can go to your children, or it can go to philanthropy. And those seem to be really the three choices, or you can spend it on yourself. And as people wrestle with that, it's really fascinating to watch. They initially say all the kids, and you mention the kids' names, they say, oh my gosh, I'm really not sure I want that child to get that much. Do you think philanthropy, engaging kids in philanthropy before the parents die, can be a way to prepare them for whatever inheritance they're going to get, so it's not just a last resort? You don't want to give to kids, you give to philanthropy. Can you use philanthropy as a child rearing or child development tool?
Absolutely. Certainly my parents did, and I can say that having a giving plan, when I was having a giving account and expecting me to have a budget when I was in my teens, setting parameters also around the fact that they expected me to work for pay and to volunteer, all of these made me much more interested in the world of finance and the world of giving. And I think that families can get a sense of entitlement happening if you give your kid either too much without any kind of expectation of really what our responsibility is as people with wealth in our communities. So what's exciting is kids can really begin at a very early age to care beyond the confines of their families, and that that narcissism that does set in can be shifted through the empathy that happens through giving and through finding out about people who live in a different way. The question of how much is enough, if you're only seeing a very high-level boats and planes and trains and 5 houses, you begin to think that's what having enough is. And when you begin to see how simply other people live around you, or in other countries, you open to this question in a different way. Maybe we don't need what we thought we did. And I think this is a really healthy thing for families to look at and address together.
You said an important thing there at the end I wanted to ask you. Do you think this is the kind of conversation that parents can have or should have with the children themselves if they're adult?
I think it's critically important that at our first allowance, when they get into their teen years, that when we set up a giving plan or a giving account, or certainly making sure that we have some issues around volunteering and work, that they're critical, sacred moments in the development of any child and through their adulthood. And I think it's very, very important that we have that sacred time with our kids to remind them of the expectations and also what was helpful to us in our lives, some of the mistakes that we've made, the more transparent we are. So I feel that also sitting down with the financial advisors and opening the kids to the complexity sometimes of our business lives, even as young adults, for them to help us pay our bills so that they become aware, why we're turning off the lights sometimes. That they, and I think this whole piece of preparing them for the fact that they are stewards of wealth that has been created very carefully by previous generations, and that you want them to contribute to grow that for the sake of the society and for the family. Very important expectations.
See how advisors could play the role of money mentors or bring the kids into the financial conversation. I'm not sure how many advisors would be comfortable trying to bring them into the larger conversation about community and making a difference and getting more involved. Where would an advisor send a client who wanted to do more or learn more about that kind of financial parenting?
I think it's very powerful to bring in actually an outside consultant who can work with a family, perhaps on a family retreat on issues of money and transfer, and invite also the financial team to that retreat for part of it, and the other half of the retreat being on the philanthropic piece. You can get those consultants through the National Center for Family Philanthropy or the National Network of Consultants to Grant Makers. Or 2164 does some great work intergenerationally. The Council on Foundations has a conference every February that's for family foundations or those considering them. Sometimes people have their family meetings around it. And Resource Generation is a great resource, has been for a long time, for inheritors and future inheritors. And they have conferences once a year for those who are going to be in family foundations, as well as retreats for those who are under 35 years of age. So all of these make for, of course, I mentor a lot of philanthropic advisors, love working with kids, and we've got also advisors like yourself that really have kids or have been involved in charities who are terrific money and philanthropic mentors.
Wealth and leadership, right?
Yes, wealth and leadership.
Thank you very much, Tracy.
Thank you.